Welcome to the first episode of the UDU podcast, where I'm inviting guests onto this series to talk about their journey in business, but more importantly, to talk about their personal development. And I have the pleasure of introducing Lakshane, the founder of Uprise Digital. I want to talk about where you are now, but more importantly, what has gotten you to this point in existence. But first, introduce yourself to the people that don't know you.
Hey, my name is Lakshane. I'm the founder of Uprise Digital. We're a startup agency operating across full funnel services as well as creative.
Now, I have the pleasure of knowing you for what seems for like the last 12 months.
Yeah. Longer. I've known you longer.
And it's been an absolute pleasure. But you were born in Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there.
Yeah, so I was born in Sri Lanka. I first came to Australia when I was 7. I did my primary schooling in Australia, and then I went back again for 7 years. And I returned again for year 12 to Australia, and I've been here since.
So growing up in Sri Lanka, tell me about that. So you were up until the age of 7 before you came over here, but then you went back, and then you came back. So tell me about Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka is awesome. Really island life, chilled life. It was awesome growing up there. I think obviously when I was young, I can't remember too much, obviously because I did my primary schooling here. But I definitely did a lot of moving back and forth growing up. But my best memories are from between like grade 6 and grade 11 when I was in Sri Lanka, and that's where I guess a lot of my formative years started happening in music and sport and studies. And it was awesome. I had a great time growing up.
Now I know you are a passionate musician. Where did that come from? Was it parents? Other friends? Did school introduce you to the music side of things?
I think it started with my dad, who loved music as a hobby. He always he plays guitar for fun, and he sings. He would throw a party, and he'd love entertaining people. And so he kind of wanted me to learn those kind of skills as well. So he pushed me towards piano, which I hated. And then I kind of asked him, I wanted to learn how to play drums. So he encouraged me to do what I like. And I started being a drums player, which then led to me starting a band with 2 of my school friends at the age of 13. So we had like a pop rock band.
What was it called?
Chaotic Genesis.
Love
it was a bit of a mix. We had the most metal name, but we sang pop songs. So it didn't make a lot of sense, but that's how everything started. And through my friends, I learned how to play guitar, and through that, singing a little bit, and that's kind of how things rolled out.
And sports wise,
sports. I've always loved cricket, and because of my height. I'm a pretty tall person. I was always dragged into play basketball as well at school. And people in Sri Lanka aren't very tall, so I was just dragged in. So I played basketball and cricket, and I played cricket at a pretty high level in Sri Lanka, and then, again, continued a little on in Australia. But that's I think before music, I was known more for cricket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's cool. So now, so we're back over in Australia when you were 17 to finish your last year of school, mm-hmm. So year 12. Mm-hmm. How was that? How was the transition like moving back and forth? Was that disruptive in terms of like, building friendships?
Yeah, well, the reason I had to come for year 12 instead of coming to uni as I had originally planned was because I got sick from mosquitoes various times to the point where I had to leave, funny enough. But yeah, the transition was pretty hard, especially at that age. You're leaving your best mates behind before the last year of school, and everything that I had in terms of music in Sri Lanka, which I started. We had band going, I had the sports going, and as well as my friends and the studies. So it was hard. And coming here, it was a lot different. I had to adapt really quickly. I had 1 year to make friends, and I guess because of the importance of year 12 and obviously having parents who want you to study and succeed in that way, I had to kind of dim down everything else. So I didn't do music for a couple of years, not seriously enough, that is. So it was a pretty hard transition, but I think I adapted quicker than I think I anticipated.
Why do you think is that? Is that because the relationship with sport? You were able to, make friends because of the abilities that you had within the cricket?
I think it's a little bit of everything, right? I think people knew I could sing, so like they had seen my stuff before, and I think I just chat. I don't shut up anyway, so it was easy to kind of get along with people. So yeah, I would say that's a reason.
What were you studying in year 12? I mean, what was the lead up and like the transition on finishing high school to then going on to uni? What was the...
Yeah, I think the trajectory was to be a doctor. So my parents were pushing me to be a doctor, so I was studying everything: chemistry, biology, physics, and math.
Yeah, right.
Those are the subjects I studied. I actually ended up pursuing biomedical science at university too, which I also graduated from.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that about you. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So when did the music side of things start to develop further? Because you've gone to uni, and where did you go to uni?
Deakin.
Deakin.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, in Geelong or in Melbourne?
In Burwood.
In Burwood. Yep.
Yeah.
Did you develop further, like any music in there, or did you?
I think
how did the music side of things now start to come along?
Yeah, good question. I think after I finished school and I found more peace and time, I guess, in the first year of uni, I started just posting covers on Facebook and Instagram, and they started gaining some traction. And at that time, Facebook had just introduced ads. So I was curious, and I barely had any money, but I would just put like $5 total, maybe $10 total in terms of running it, and it would reach 50,000 people. The reach was insane back then because no one was running ads, and they were testing it. So I would gain a lot of traction and, interaction. So it just started developing, and I was already used to kind of hiring like a videographer friend and filming some cool stuff. So I kind of continued that, but doing covers. And someone who saw my stuff, this guy called Tim, he messaged me. He said, "Hey, I like your stuff. Why don't we do an original?" And I was like, I was a bit hesitant. I had written songs, but not in a fully serious way. I had put out an original song before, but not that seriously. But it kind of got us working, and he kind of pushed me to do it. And the song was called "Don't Lie," and I got a friend who did a video for me, which was excellent at the time. And we released it, no PR, nothing, and it landed on Complex. It landed on AU Dollars, and it just got a little bit of street buzz for an independent release. And I was like, this could be something. It exceeded my expectations. And that's, I guess, how things took off.
Why do you think that video took off? What was it? What was this? Why was it special? Why do you think it was special? Was there, when you were developing the music clip or the song, or like, what made it special?
That's a really good question. I never thought of that. I think it's the creative polish that I put on it from a visual perspective. I think I knew exactly, I had envisioned, because I had experience doing videos in Sri Lanka as well with my friends. I was always a visual person. So I knew what it needed to look like, and luckily I met a friend, Carl, who was pretty good as well. And I think that's the reason. The song was obviously tight. Tim did a fantastic job. I knew we had to make sure the polish on the audio engineering was good too. So we took extra steps to make sure the polish was nice in every aspect in terms of what I knew back then. I was probably 20, 21 at the time. So I really do attribute it to the visuals, as well as, I guess, a decent song.
Yep. So moving forward from that, where did the music then take you?
I think I just led with it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't expect it to do that, but I knew I had to continue it. So for the next couple of years, I was just, shooting from the hip at trying different things, putting a lot of emphasis on creative, which kind of sustained how people knew me. And then it led to me releasing an EP with the help from Matt from $80. And while I was doing that, I got into a grad role. I completely shifted from like biomedical science and went straight into corporate because I wanted to be in business, and I knew if I went down the path of being a doctor, I wouldn't have time for music. So I wanted to shift because I love music and I wanted to keep doing it. So yeah, and now I was kind of balancing a corporate job as a grad as well as being a musician and trying to find my feet in doing that as well.
Mm-hmm. Were there any moments before we start to get into the business side of things, were any like wow moments with the music side of things? Did you ever like look back and end up on something and pinch yourself and you're like, wow, man, this was super cool?
Yeah, I think 2-3 cool highlights was going back to Sri Lanka and playing at a festival there, like the biggest festival in Colombo. That was pretty cool. There's over 1,000 people, and that was an awesome, like a vision that I had, and for it to come about, it was awesome. I had the pleasure of working with 2 awesome artists. One, Costa from Sri Lanka. That was awesome. He found my stuff. He wanted to work. We did a couple of songs, and I got the chance to do a studio session indirectly through. We had the same engineer, so I got to do a demo track with the kid Leroy just before he got signed. Yeah. So that was pretty fun. That was pretty cool. He blew me up. Like, oh man, he's next level, right? But that was a cool memory that I've had. And he was just at that time of blowing up. Everyone was talking about him. He had just done a demo with Lil Skies. And yeah, I think when I look back, those are the top two things. And I think another thing that I'm really proud of is that almost every show that I kind of headlined and I did independently got sold out. So 2 out of the 3 got sold out. The third one is almost. The second one in between the first and the last one was almost a sellout too. So yeah, I think I had a strong following here in Melbourne, and people came and supported, so which I'm really grateful for.
Did you ever do, when you were back in Sri Lanka, did you ever get the band back together?
We tried. I've tried multiple times, but it's not as easy.
So I know you very well, but I know people watching might not. But I know that a lot of your creative flair was born from that time spent in the music industry. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Why do you think that is?
I think because you're always self-promoting, so you need to have a certain amount of edge. And I think I learned to play guitar and I learned to produce through YouTube, so it was always visual learning for me. So I was always I was learning through YouTube. I was making stuff for YouTube. And YouTube, by the way, is probably the greatest learning library in the world and needs to be used in all areas possible. It's amazing. Everything I've learned through YouTube, honestly. So I think that having that visual aspect, I don't know, I think my brain was wired like that. And as a kid, I used to draw a lot as well. I was very good at drawing for my age, I remember. I used to draw cars, I used to draw anime and all this kind of stuff when I was 6, 7, when I was in Sri Lanka. To answer your question, which was where and how I got my flair and why, I think I've just automatically always had it from a young age.
I liked what I liked about the sold out stories was being independent. So you've got this unique flair. There's something about you that is unique. You're standing out from literally all the noise. So it's super impressive. So moving forward now, you've moved away from biochem. You've seen that the light of being an artist would just dwindle away, and you've moved into corporate. You've moved into business. What did you move into?
I moved into consulting. So I started working at a very large consulting firm, Accenture, and I was awesome experience. It was crazy to see how things work at an enterprise level, at a government level, at a very early age. And then I moved on to another consulting firm too. So I was largely in tech consulting first, and from a project management basis.
So tech first, and then you continued on with tech into the next consulting?
Yeah, so then I went more into the project management side of any kind of project. So whether it's a tech integration or whether it's a human resource management project, I was always in the project management side of things.
And so climbing the corporate ladder, which you went into so that you could still continue the music side of things, how was it juggling both worlds?
It was interesting because I felt like I was living a double life. And looking back, it was really weird. It felt weird because I was this artist who was very, elusive, and I had a certain sound and a certain distinctive visual going for me. And on the other side, I was in corporate. So I felt like I was living a double life, and it just didn't gel. And that's when I started realizing maybe what I'm doing needs to align completely. I felt it. I knew that what I'm doing as two different people didn't align. I knew I had to bring it together. I knew I had a certain amount of business acumen. I could talk to the right people in the right way. Then I had this creative flair. So I knew I had to do something together. And at the time, the only thing I could think of from an entrepreneurship or a business perspective was either creative consulting or an agency.
When did you plant that seed? Because my question was going to be, you've got this creative flair, and it must be butting heads in the corporate world. You know, I've never spent a lot of time in the corporate world, but I can imagine that it's very structured. It's very, this is how we do it. This is how it's worked. Yeah. When considering your creative flair and being the unique individual that you were, coming into project management teams, when you were trying to incorporate, like, you know, your flair, the way that, you know, hey, we should do this, was there any kind of like kickbacks being like, no, man, you're like, firstly, you're fresh, you're an intern. Yeah. Secondly, we don't do music clips around here. Was there...
I don't think anyone ever discouraged my music if they found out, but the bureaucracy and the structure definitely is something that I had a lot of pushback from. I think ideas and new ways of doing things wasn't welcome, and it was definitely pushed back. Even if I raised the thing, I remember one time I raised a new way of doing things, and instead of directly telling me that I may have spoken out of line or maybe have suggested something that wasn't necessary at the time, it went up to upper management. And it came to me from them instead of just being like, hey, like, you don't need to share that, right? And I was like, that's a really odd way. There's no sense of collaboration and ideas and thinking. It was the bureaucracy. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I was like, I'm going to be miserable if I'm a part of this, like this kind of environment. I want to be in a place where we can ideate, think of new ways of doing things and implement it as well, which wasn't happening in consulting.
So then what did you do?
Well, I think I felt like this for about a year. I knew something had to change, but I was just scared. You're just scared of taking the next step. I could either go to another job and feel the same way, or I could take the leap and start my own thing, but I didn't know what. And I'm pretty sure everyone feels this way. You're always afraid of taking the next step. You know where you want to be, but you don't know how to get there. And you're lost, and therefore you're overwhelmed, and you do nothing. And I think I was in this limbo state for about a year. During this time, the good thing, however, is I just came out of COVID and I had gained some weight and I wasn't feeling good either in every aspect. So I started working out, and I lost 12 kilos during that time in about 3-4 months. So I had a lot of progress in that way, and it gave me a lot of confidence. And yeah, I think once I started feeling this, and I started feeling this void and this unhappiness, but I had the confidence from losing weight, I knew something had to go. And I had a friend who was hiring an intern for his agency, like one of my good friends. So I was like, hey, do you mind if I work for you? And I started working there a few weeks, and he was really happy with what I was doing and the way that I kind of went about things. And I just pulled the plug on the corporate job, which was... I pulled the plug, and, you know, it was a scary thing because I'm not just changing careers. I took a massive pay cut. I think I took about a 60% pay cut.
That's huge.
That's huge. And yeah.
See, this is like the point in your life where you are now. And this is where I feel like a lot of people would be at this moment in time where it's kind of like, I know I need more. I'm destined for greatness, or whatever it is. Yeah. What took you so long? Other than what you've just told me, was there another underlying reason to like go, like jump out and do your own thing to get to even take that leap of going, okay, cool, I'm going to go work in a creative field that is like 60% less of my money that I'm earning now, but it allows me to be more of a person that I want to be. Why do you think such a long jump? Like it took you so long to get there?
I think we attach ourselves to our career. And therefore we attach our ego to our career. And we don't want to see ourselves in a light where we're actually less than what we are. We only want to see ourselves in a higher position. So I think I had set expectations on myself to maintain who I thought everyone saw me as. So it was almost like an ego thing. And I was afraid to be seen lower than what I was in order to get higher than what I was. And that's the understanding that I had to come to. It's a compromise that I had to come to with myself. It's almost killing my ego. That's what I had to do. And the hesitation was because I wasn't ready to do it. I had a perceived perception of myself, or the expectation of myself to be perceived in such a way that I didn't take that action.
Do you think that reflected in the music that you were making at the time?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so. I think at a time when I was initially starting that unhappiness feeling, I think I just started making music that was absolute rubbish, writing, really negative kind of stuff, to be honest. And I think when I was progressing to be better, I think my music became more of who I am. And again, that just gave me the confidence to take the leap. I knew the next thing was like, I've lost weight, I'm making better music. It's time. But obviously it took me a couple months to kind of pull that plug, but I was heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So ego stopping being a main roadblock to make that jump. Do you think it's because you I guess the fear of like not making it, and would it be a fear to like let you down, or was it a fear to let someone else down?
I think it's a fear of letting the perception of someone else of me down. I think that's what it really was. That's a good question.
Because internally you were crafted for something else.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Love that. I think that's important to listen to. It's when someone's like, listen to your gut. It's like, yeah, because you listen to it, and the only way is if you've made the right decision is by making the decision.
And it's just a simple old saying of you got to believe in yourself. And it's such a word that's tossed around, but it's so powerful, and it's cliche, but it's so true. If you're supposed to do something, and everyone has a powerful thing in them, everyone has a power in them, and it's a gut feeling, and it's an instinct. Your gut feeling is a reflex of all your learned data and all your experiences telling you what you should be doing, and you should never ignore it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. So moving now, you've taken a new job. You've taken an internship. So you've taken an internship, at, what was this?
It was a friend's agency in the Web3 space. And obviously the market started going down a few months later. Luckily, I had got enough experience. I had become the 2IC. And I then joined a much larger agency as a account manager and learned the ropes there.
So now we're into another agency. What was this agency doing?
We did a lot of UGC or TikTok videos, and we were one of the biggest agencies in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you handling like big accounts or?
Yeah, handling a lot of accounts. I don't know if I can say their names, but everyday brands that 90% of Australians have consumed.
All right. So now we're here. Let's talk about now the development of your skill set. Now that, you've moved away from this corporate field, and now you're chasing this, wanting to be in a creative community, in a creative environment where your thoughts are heard, your thoughts are listened to, you're listened to in general.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It was refreshing. Honestly, it was fantastic. And when I would talk to the clients, I think they really valued what I was saying from a creative angle. There were clients, I took over who weren't as happy with the outcome, and I would come in there and give them ideas and suggestions and remove any issues they would have, and they would really value it. And I think I maintained the lifetime of that customer as well in doing so. And I knew, I'm like, cool, there was more validating all the ideas and where I should be. I knew I had to be here, but again, I knew I couldn't forever work for someone. So in doing so, I learned how an agency works. I understand this agency was obviously doing something very specific and niche, but I could understand how this can then be applied in a different business sense. And at the time, how I got my first client was my own independent freelance client was this guy, a home improvement person, had come over, and he was doing something at a project that me and my dad were doing. And I just asked him how he kind of gets clients, and I offered him to do some promoting of his business for him for free. And if he liked it, we can work something out. He loved it. He loved the outcome. I got him like 30, 40 inquiries in a month. He was over the moon, and that's how I got my first client. And that was in conjunction while working for another agency.
Getting that first client, were you nervous? Were you nervous to go and talk to him? Like, were you nervous that conversation you were just about to have with a stranger, because you were about to pitch you? How was that?
I wasn't nervous because I offered him something for free. And I had offered to do everything. He just does nothing. So the nervousness wasn't in that. The nervousness in the fact that, can I actually deliver? Which miraculously I did. I don't know, that whatever I did back then and my knowledge and understanding was enough to knock his socks off, honestly. And the nervousness was more so having that conversation a month later, being like, hey, do you like what we're doing? If you like it, this is what we're going to charge. And I charged an industry rate from someone who's never had a client. I just went in with the confidence. And it was just a simple ask. He said yes, and I'm happy. And he said yes, and I remember I was over the moon. I was so over the moon. I'd never had someone pay me proper money for any of my services before.
The first time I got paid was when I was living in Vietnam. I went, there was a dude, so I was working at a motorbike store. This guy came through a local Westerner, and he was like, I'm going to be here. I actually run a villa, like 4 monkeys, just over in here. And I was like, cool, man, I actually know that area. I was like, do you have any like social media? Like, do you have any videos of your property? And he was like, nah, I just never done it. And I was like, can I come and film for you? Like, nothing. I didn't want anything. I just wanted the experience of filming. And then at the end of it, he was like, that was a fantastic video. We're going to put it up on our Airbnb website. Here's here's $1 million dong. Yeah, which is like 60 Australian dollars.
Okay.
And I walked away. I rode my scooter away, and I rode to the street, and I was like, man, someone's going to pay me to do this? We're onto something. So I resonate with that. I think that's like also another prominent a turning point in like doing shit for yourself. It's like, yeah, what you provide is of value to someone else.
Yep.
And here's some money.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, cool.
You feel valued.
I've got something.
Yeah.
And it validates and it strengthens that will to be like, all right, cool. Let's continue. Let's see what else is around the corner.
Yeah.
What else can I do?
Yeah.
So let's bring it back. We've got 1 foot out of the door. We're still working in a creative company that you're really enjoying. You're feeling heard. You're feeling loved. But now you've smelt the success of your own little side hustle. Where do we go from there?
So I just knew I had to get more clients, but I knew I had to talk to more people like him. So what I started doing was just going on Google Business and dialing, just cold calling every day. And I remember that's the biggest thing I hated when I first started. I had to call people because I had one of my earlier jobs, I was cold calling people, and you just get blasted for calling them and trying to sell them something. So I had this like PTSD, as you would say it, but I just did it and cold call every day. And then what I started offering people free services as well. And I think I scored my next 2 clients doing that, just offering them free services. If they like it, they can pay. I had nothing to lose. Like, I had no ego. I completely killed my ego. I'm not going to charge you for something. I want to see if you like it. If you do, let's continue on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And I got my next 2 clients, and
still in the same like spaces.
Home improvement. Yes.
Yep.
I stayed in that niche because I guess I knew how to service these clients now. And I think at that time, I had filmed some videos with yourself, and I don't know why. I think I knew I had to kind of use these videos to run as ads. I don't know why, because again, previously I'd done it with music. I knew ad spend was a thing. And obviously I was doing it for these guys as well. I was like, I need to start doing this now to promote my business. And and in one of the videos, I think I was just talking more so about a system or a marketplace that most home improvement businesses in Australia use and how ineffective it is. And that video organically started doing okay. I was like, people are resonating with this. I want to run this instead as an ad. That's, I think, how I got my next handful of clients. And after a certain stage, I was like, I can see this evolving. And I started almost earning the same as I would from my day job. And at the time, I just needed that extra bit of push. And I took the leap. And the rest is history, to be honest.
Well, how did that? I mean, that's another leap. Like that's it. But the first leap was jumping out of corporate, taking a massive pay cut. The second leap was talking to that homeowner renovator who you gave your services for free, smashed it out of the park, loved it, and now you've gone ahead, furthered it, and now you're sitting at the road where it's like, well, it's now or never.
Yeah.
How did that? What was that? Like, was that another? Got to put the ego at the door, or was that just kind of like that was just now pure confidence?
I think it was a leap of faith. Honestly, there's never the right time. I was umming and erring for about a couple months. I knew it had to be done. I didn't know when. And I would ask friends, hey, is it the right time? How do you know? And I think I had spoken, it was December, I had spoken to just enough people who had kind of verbally said yes. I was like, if 1/3 of these people actually come on, I'll be good. I'll be good. And at that time, I was paying rent and I had some other massive expenses and debt that I had to kind of cover off. So if it didn't work out, I would be in trouble. And I'm still paying rent, by the way, but it was the expenses were high that I needed to make sure this happens. So yeah, there's a lot of umming and erring, but I knew I had done the right thing to get to where I was. And it was a learning experience from quitting corporate that helped me kind of take that next leap. So I had more confidence for sure. Mm-hmm. And I saw this quote from someone, I think it was Hormozy. He said, you either choose to be an employee or you choose to work for yourself. That's the only choice you need to make. And I got some guidance and some help from you as well. And I think that was enough. I was like, all right, there's no point of waiting around. And it was a massive leap of faith. And yeah, that's the decision I made.
It's just like, I think it's and I appreciate that you say that, like, because I remember we were sitting there filming there and, you know, it's not a goat, it's a tar, you know, now that we've learned that. But it's like that push, you know, it's just sort of like surrounding yourself with the right people to give you the confidence and that, you know, that self-esteem to be like, look, man, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're still going to wake up tomorrow. Like, if you didn't work, okay, cool, maybe you're a little bit out of, you know, pocket, you know, whatever. Yeah. But at least you tried. Because without trying, then you don't know.
I think that's another big innate drive that I had, is because I didn't want to live with regret. I would rather know what the other side's like and at least go to sleep knowing that I tried, instead of looking back in 30 years knowing that I didn't try. That would kill me more inside and that would affect me more negatively than failing. And I knew this. I had this awareness of this. Again, there's a big mountain. Everyone is aware of this, but then you see the mountain that you need to climb and it kind of scares you because it overwhelms you. But yeah, I think knowing that and just taking that leap was just crucial for me. And you're right, having the right people around you, supporting you is so important. So my housemate at the time when I first started my business, he would sit there with me and help me make calls. He would go one call at a time. His name's Mo, by the way. So I kind of really appreciate that. Shout out Mo. He would sit there with me. I would dial one after the other to help me settle my nerves. So that was really, really nice of him. And I didn't get too many clients doing that, but at the start he supported me in doing that. So that's catapulted my confidence to keep going. And then obviously people like you supporting me to really take that next step. And you were probably only one of the few who kind of really told me to pull the trigger. So yeah, just being around people who, just build that confidence up in you. Because again, the secret is in believing yourself. And if you have people who trust your instinct and what you can achieve, that's powerful.
Man, you need to write a song on that, because there's something there. There's some emotions that I really feel like you could write some beautiful words. So we are now completely out of the other agency. You've left them. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You've given me the skill set that I need now to take on the world. But now I'm scared, and also I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So now that you've started, let's begin from there. What was it like? Well, I mean, obviously we know it was scary and whatnot, but in terms of sort of like, all right, I've now taken this leap. What are the steps now I need to do?
I think I knew that I needed guidance from someone who's done it, and I found this mentor online. I just knew that I needed guidance. So I hired him. He helped me understand business in a more clear way. He kind of really helped me understand not only the agency space, but business in general, and what a business is and what a business isn't. Because I think people mix up being a freelancer to a business. I really learned that from him, and how not to be caught up in being a very busy freelancer. So I hired him, and I got some pointers from him. He didn't really get, he was more of a group kind of mentorship, so I didn't get one-on-one with him. But I learned a few things, and I really actioned a lot of things, which grew my client base. Now, I didn't grow it in the right way, but I had, in terms of revenue, I had explosive growth. And so from a revenue standpoint, I was okay. But then I knew there's a lot of things I needed to learn from an operational standpoint, at which point I then hired a more one-on-one coach to help me fix up those things.
I think coaches are a necessity in anybody's business development.
Yeah.
I only just recently, in the last couple of months, bought on one. Was that for me, it was scary. Yeah. Because one, like, you're giving money away, and you're just kind of like, I'm hoping that what I've seen online from this person is going to give me the skill set to then better my business, whether it's in the back end or if it's whatever it is. What made you make the decision on these individuals? What stood out from them that made you choose them?
I think one, their character, and secondly, their credibility. Both of them had credibility. It was easy to just search up their name or their company, and it's very clear they are who they say they are. So I had no problem with that. I know that I had to pay to grow. You didn't need to convince me on that. I knew I had to do it. So I didn't have an issue doing that. It was more so finding the right person. And I wasn't afraid to try different things, because again, in music, I had tried a lot of things and knew that I had to try a lot of things to find the one thing that works. So experimenting for me wasn't
like a song,
in every aspect, whether it's the genre I pick, whether I do a video or not, or whether it's the type of song I make, what the topic's about, how I release it, who I collab with, which producer I choose, is all an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never a one and done kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no problem with experimenting,
which is I think it's another valuable trait to have, is that just because you purchase a mentor, your problems aren't solved.
Yeah.
Like you need to adapt, take on their knowledge and implement what they're teaching you.
Yeah.
And then again, then you still got your whole Bunsen burner set out, trying to like navigate this experiment and make sure that like the end result, works.
You got to look at it as a supplement to what you're doing.
Mm.
You shouldn't. It's all about setting your own expectations. If you think that just because you hired someone, they're going to fix all your problems, you're going to set yourself up to fail. But if you go into the lens like, this guy is going to give me knowledge or actionable things that I wouldn't have come to realize myself a lot quicker, that's the mentality I went with. So I think going into that right mentality was crucial as well.
So we had explosive growth. We're new into the market. What are we, 3-4 months deep?
Yeah, probably 3 months into, once I had left my job.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
What happened?
I think I hadn't taken on the right partners. I don't like to say clients, but I hadn't taken on the right partners. They weren't vetted. They were more so desperate. So that's when things became unstable. There was a lot of asking, a lot of demand for basically over-delivering for them. Overdoing for, you say bottom of the barrel clients, to be honest. But so that's when I kind of brought on the second mentor, and I knew I needed that one-on-one. I knew something wasn't right. So he helped me fix up things internally within the company and who to take on and who not to take on.
What did he teach you?
I guess one good thing was, like, I thought I was always good at sales, but you're never as good as you think you are. So that was a pretty cool experience that I really learned from him. Shout out to Ali. He really helped me understand how to really work sales and how to work people, and also kindly tell them that we're probably not the best fit for you. And then also from an operational standpoint, get the right people in to do things better than I could. I had a couple assistants, but there was areas that I thought weren't as important that needed attention. He helped identify these things. And it was insane because it also gave me back a lot of time because I had brought up my starter agency to this point because of me. But if I was now passing off 5 different things all day and not doing it as good as someone else would, I'm not growing the business. I'm working in it.
Yeah. That in itself, you're always, you're working in, not on. So you're able to clear up these, is it fixed mistakes? Are they ever mistakes? They're not, it's like, it's not a mistake. It's learning. Not a mistake. You're just learning. Yeah. If you make the same mistake again, well, it's like, all right, cool, you're not learning. Yeah. This next mentor has helped you develop into, 2.0. Where do we take it from there?
Yeah, I mean, again, a coach is just guidance. I had to kind of put my own flair on it. I had my own ways of doing things. I also actioned a lot of things and actioned them really fast. I think that's one thing I've always done. I action things quickly. I don't dwell on it. I'm happy to experiment. So things are going well. It's a bit of I'm still in that stage, to be honest. I'm learning, but things, we've got better partners on now. Things are a lot more stable, and we're kind of being who we want to be as an agency. And initially, we started in that trade construction niche, but we're now becoming a creative-led performance marketing agency or creative growth partner. That's the best way to put it. That's who we want to be. We want to innovate from a creative front, but we also want to bring tangible results from a performance perspective.
What separates you from the others?
I think I didn't know what that was, but I knew I was creative. And the more other people tell me that, the more validated it becomes. And, we have partners join us from other agencies and we bring down their cost per lead, the quality of their client becomes better. And I think it's the only thing we're changing is how we make them more creative. So that was a bit of an understanding and a validation for me. And, there was certain clients who appreciated it and understood it. So look, the agency space is saturated. Everyone has an agency, to be honest. It's the barrier for entry is small, but we're trying to find the right people who value what we can provide, which is a bit of a creative touch on the performance.
So let's talk about client acquisition. Now you said that now you understand how to vet clients to make sure that they are fit to work with you and that you're fit to work with them. What's that process look like?
I think you look at it as a business relationship, but the business relationship stands on how well you get each other. So it's almost like you need to understand each other and you need to value what the other person is bringing, because we're the ones providing the service. The other person is our customer. They have to understand and value what we're doing. If you have, someone who has a bad attitude and thinks marketing is a scam, but they want to give it a try, it's probably a red flag. So you end up building parameters in your mind in terms of who your ideal customer is. That's through experience. So over time, I've kind of identified who is not our customer, and I'm happy to tell them no. And I've also identified the good customers. And there's a bit of a process we develop and to take them on and make them feel like they're getting a good partner for their business as well. Mm-hmm. So we're very people-centric. That's the best way to do it, internally and externally.
Do you see a lot of other agencies in the market doing it like you?
Oh, 100%. There's a lot of agencies, but they focus too much on the process. There's definitely some agencies that I look up to, and some owners and some creative marketers. So I know who I need to be, but I don't think they have music industry experience. To be honest, when you think about a lot of social media today, creating personal brands, doing this, posting 5 times a day, promoting your product multiple times, that all stems from the music industry. These are things that musicians used to do 5 years ago, that business owners are being told to do today or last year. A lot of the influence showing your process in terms of how you're doing it all stems from the music industry. It really does. So I don't think a lot of agency owners have that experience. I guess hopefully that does play to my advantage.
Are we still doing music now? Now that the agency's growing and developing into where you're taking it, has the music side of things taken a step back? Do you still do it in your spare time? Are you still, making sure that creative, bucket is being filled so it rolls on into your day-to-day life running Uprise?
Right now, it's not. I'm not doing anything, but I would like it to.
Mm-hmm.
So the best case scenario for me is come to a point where I don't have to do much and I can just make music with my friends all day. That's the dream outcome. So right now, I don't have time, to be honest, because when I do music, I get caught up in the idea of being a perfectionist. And I think the creative process of making the song with the right people is much more enjoyable than just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I had the best moments when I look at it was when I collabed with the people I like to work with. And that was the best. And in doing so, the song turned out better. The reception was a lot better. So finding the right time to meet with these people who live globally in Sydney, Sri Lanka, America, it's hard. So just finding the time for that is probably more important to me if I was to do it again.
How's that relationship with what you just said then to client acquisition?
That's the same way I look at it with clients.
How it makes so much sense. If you're both on the same vibration, you're gonna make incredible music.
Yeah.
And also you don't have to explain, the importance of marketing.
Yeah.
You dive straight into strategy.
Yeah.
You dive straight into the creative side of things, and this is why I want to do it this way.
It's more refreshing. It's almost like, I've seen this video of Jimi Hendrix and I can't remember who the other musician was. I think Paul McCartney. I can't remember who it was. I might be wrong. But they just came in together at a studio space. They didn't say a word. They just picked up the guitar, the bass, and they just started playing. They didn't say a word for 20 minutes. They just started jamming. And it was just magic in the room. That's the kind of people you want to work with. You're just on the same wavelength.
We've been now in the field or in the market for, 8 months, 9 months?
Since I left the full-time role. Yeah, my business has been running for a year now.
Yep.
And 8 months since I quit my job.
How have you seen the development of social media marketing, and how are you seeing the trajectory it's taking?
Oh, it's definitely really important. You definitely need to be on social media. It's the first place you can show your face, but you need to have an angle as well. I think that's where people are struggling now because it's saturated. Everyone's doing social media marketing now. Everyone's looking for that different angle that makes them unique. I think that if you're not marketing, if you're not even running ads, you're not even in the game. But for those who are, you need to find that differential angle. And I think that's what people are looking for.
What are you telling your clients to do? How are you telling your clients to separate themselves?
I think we do a bit of exercise. You need to be really clear and understanding about who your customer is. Your brand is built around your ideal customer. Your product is built around your ideal customer. Creating a logo, creating a nice website isn't your brand. It's how your customer feels when they think about you. That's a framework I put into brand owners. We have brand owners who are in over 800 retail stores, and sometimes they're not even clear about who their customer is. They're trying to target everyone. And in marketing, they say if you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. So it's better to niche down and be the kingpin in that. So I have a bit of an exercise I put people through. I really help them understand who their customer is. And I almost like a coach, I keep them in line because they want to keep going that way. They want to keep going that way. We're like, hey, remember that thing we did? And it's a pretty cool exercise that I sometimes do for myself. That's where it starts. And if you know 100% of their pain points, where they spend their time, everything that they're thinking, you have half the solution.
So niching is incredibly important. So now the outlook of where you're looking at taking the business, and more importantly, where your self-development is going to come from. What does that look like?
I think from an agency perspective, we want to be a creative growth partner. So we want to bring performance, but we also add that angle to make our partners, not only our partners, but ourselves have a bit of a differential look. So we want to give that creative angle to our partners as well. That's where we want to be as an agency, and then we drive it home with performance and full clarity.
Mm-hmm. And for yourself?
For myself, just keep on the journey, learning more. I think I learn more about marketing every day. So upskilling myself, learning new ways of doing things, learning patience for myself is definitely something I want to keep working on. Again, I think I do credit a lot of, I guess, some kind of quick growth to my impatience as well. But there's areas that I can improve on my own patience and understanding of people.
So in terms of where you see yourself in 5 years, paint me that picture. Where are you? What's going on? Who are you? Where's your company? Are there multiple agencies?
Where I'd like to be, I think I'd like to be doing things I love every day. That's what I want to be doing, but I want to be doing it with a great amount of awesome people. I want to have an awesome team who genuinely love what they're doing and they like what we do. We have a clear mission of who we are. Technology is also something that's really growing on me, so I definitely want to be having some kind of involvement with technology. So we've actually launched Uprise X as a new venture we're doing, and we've actually got a couple projects that's going on there. So I think the goal is innovation in every aspect. Innovation in marketing, innovation in technology, innovation in what we're doing, and always a people first kind of organization. That's what I want to have.
One final down the barrel, the potential entrepreneurs, the people that are sitting there where you were in your 9-to-5 corporate, wearing your suit, playing the music, they were drummers, whatever their creativity. If you could talk to them and just say, you've said I took the leap, but can you give it to them? Give it to them. Tell them.
I think, look, everyone has a thing that they want to strive towards. Everyone's in their own journey, depending on where they are and what they're doing. So I wouldn't recommend you to do business if that's not something you don't want to do. But whatever you're trying to do and whatever is holding you back, you're looking at a mountain. You just got to believe in yourself, back yourself, and take the first step. Because you don't want to live with regret. That's the best advice I can give you. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether you want to learn guitar, you want to exercise, you want to get into a new sport, you want to try dancing for the first time, take that leap. It's not that scary.
You do you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, bro. Pleasure.